For many centuries, the people of Aravel lived in peace. Their world was calm, soft, and gentle. Their skies glowed with blue rings. Their forests shimmered at night like fireflies dancing. Aravel was a safe world, so safe that their children grew up never learning the meaning of fear. But there was one story that older generations whispered. A story so strange that most believed it to be only a myth. It spoke of a distant star system far from their maps, a world named Sol-3, a place so dangerous that even its air could kill the weak, a world filled with storms that split mountains, oceans that devoured ships, and creatures that hunted anything that moved. The beings who lived on this world were called humans, or in old Aravel language, children of the death world. To the young, it was nothing more than a scary tale. Something told to make them behave. Something unrealistic. Humans? Impossible, they would laugh. No creature could survive such a world. And so, through centuries, humans became a legend, a ghost story for curious minds. No one on Aravel had ever seen one. No one truly believed they existed. Until the day everything changed. It started with a soft tremble under the soil, a vibration so small that most citizens didn't notice. But in the Aravel orbital watchtower, a single officer did. His console blinked, a strange reading, a spike in gravity, a disturbance in deep space, far larger than anything they had recorded before. Officer Lauren frowned. That cannot be right. He checked again. The reading increased. The sky outside the watchtower flickered faintly like ripples in a pond. Laurent called for his commander. Within minutes, the entire watchtower buzzed with activity. Dozens of officers looked at screens with growing fear. Is it an asteroid? No. Another Empire ship? No matching signature. Then what is it? A sensor technician stuttered. It's too big, and it's slowing down, slowing down. Natural objects do not slow down. Only ships do. But no ship in the galaxy was this large. The sky above Aravel darkened. Clouds twisted into spirals. Light bent around something unseen. The people looked up, confused at first, then scared. A shadow spread across the horizon. A shape slowly pushed itself out of warped space. A hull of black metal emerged, quiet and graceful, yet impossibly massive. And then, everyone on Aravel felt a cold shiver run down their spine. Officer Laurent dropped to his knees. His commander whispered in horror, "No ship looks like that." On every screen across the planet, the image sharpened, a long, dark, triangular shape, armor thicker than any known battleship, engines glowing like caged suns, markings completely foreign to any empire. The oldest Aravel elders recognized it immediately. Their faces turned pale. It matches the drawings from the old stories, one elder whispered. The myths, the legends, the Deathworlders. Someone finally said the words, "a human battleship." Alarms rang. Military fighters scrambled into the sky. Civilians rushed indoors. Schools locked down. Fear spread faster than wind. If the legends were true, then humans were not only real, they were arriving in a warship larger than any empire's flagship. Commander Silas of Aravel Defense shouted orders, "Do not fire unless attacked. Keep distance. Prepare all shields." The ship did not open fire. It did not broadcast a signal. It simply hovered silently in their sky, watching. It did not behave like an invader, nor like an ally. It behaved like a judge. The entire planet held its breath. In the Hall of Guidance, the elders met with commanders. Their faces were tense. Elder Mira spoke first. "The stories we heard growing up, they must have come from somewhere. Someone must have seen humans long ago." Commander Silas replied, "Stories aren't proof." Mira stepped forward and placed an ancient tablet on the table. A picture was carved into the stone, aged by centuries. A triangular ship, dark, enormous, with a glowing front and sharp edges. Silas stared. It looked exactly like the ship now floating above their planet, according to legend, Mira said. Humans survived on a world that tried to kill them every day. Their storms, their beasts, their land, everything was a threat. She lowered her voice. If they could survive their world, imagine what they could survive in space. Silas clenched his jaw. But why are they here? Why now? No one had an answer. On the streets, citizens stared at the sky, trembling. Children clung to their parents. Teachers tried to comfort their students. News streams broadcast nonstop. The ship has taken stationary position, no communication yet. Shields up across the planet. Military warns, do not panic. But how could they not? This was no known empire, no familiar technology, no predictable threat. This was a myth made real, a legend stepping out of darkness, a creature from the most dangerous world in the galaxy. As fear rose, a small girl asked her mother, "Mom, are the humans coming to hurt us?" Her mother swallowed because she didn't know the answer. No one did. After hours of silence, the giant ship finally moved. A soft hum vibrated across the air. Blue lights activated along its hull. A beam of white light shone downward like a spotlight. Then across every speaker, every screen, every communicator on Aravel, a voice. Calm, clear, human, people of Aravel, do not fear us. Every citizen froze. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. The elders leaned closer. You sent a message into deep space 27 years ago. A call for help. Commander Silas almost dropped his tablet. Help? What call for help? We received your signal, the human voice continued, and we have come. Aravel trembled. The myths were not only real, the legends had come to save them, but save them from what? The human battleship still hovered quietly above Aravel, its black metal surface reflecting no sunlight. To the people below, it looked like a mountain suspended in the sky. Its presence alone was enough to freeze an entire world, but the silence did not last long. Inside the Aravel orbital watchtower, Officer Loran felt his console shake beneath his hands. More alarms lit up, louder, brighter, more urgent than before. He raised his voice over the noise. "Commander Silas, we have new readings, multiple, signatures approaching the system." Silas rushed to the screen. His eyes widened. "Show me." The holographic map expanded, revealing more shapes forming in the void behind the first human ship. At first, they appeared as distant distortions, small ripples in space, like shadows twisting in water. Then the ripples grew and grew and grew. A technician whispered, These are not small ships." Another added, "Sir, hyperspace exit points multiplying. This is a fleet, a massive fleet." The room fell silent. One by one, the ships emerged from hyperspace. The second ship was even larger than the first, its hull covered with glowing scars, as if it had survived battles against stars themselves. The third looked like a floating fortress, shaped with thick armor plates layered like scales. The fourth carried enormous cylindrical structures along its sides, weapon systems no one recognized. Then came the fifth, and the sixth, and the seventh, until the entire sky was filled with titanic warships, not a formation from any empire Aravel knew, not a design seen in any archive. These ships belonged to a species that others believed were only myths. Humans, Deathworlders, the children of Sol 3, families on Aravel stepped onto balconies and rooftops, staring upward as the sun dimmed behind the fleet. Children clung to their parents. Teachers guided students into shelters. Merchants closed their shops in fear. People whispered, "They block the sun. How many ships do they have? Are they all coming here? Why would humans send so many battleships?" The fear spread like fire. Inside the Hall of Guidance, the High Council was in chaos. Counselor Varine slammed her hand on the table. "This is an invasion. It must be," another counselor shouted. "Why else bring ships this large? They didn't respond to our calls. They plan to take our world." A younger official trembled. "What if they want to erase us? What if they see us as a threat?" Voices overlapped. Accusations flew. Some begged to prepare for surrender. Others demanded a strike. Commander Silas stood silently until he could no longer hold back. "Enough." The room fay. LL still. Silas pointed at the ancient scholar, Elder Mira, who sat quietly, lost in thought. "Mira, you said humans do not come without reason. What did you mean?" Mira looked at the fleet above and spoke calmly. Even as fear shook her hands. "In our oldest stories, humans were not conquerors. They were defenders, protectors. They fought monsters no one else could face." Counselor Varine scoffed. "Stories, legends. You trust myths over evidence?" Mira replied, "Legends begin with truth." Her voice softened. "And if humans brought battleships, then something far worse must be coming." The room went silent. The High Council tried everything. They sent a message on standard diplomatic channels. "Human fleet, identify yourselves. State your intention." No reply. They sent an emergency broadcast. "We request communication. This is a peaceful world." No reply. They even sent a threat. though a weak one. If you approach further, we will activate planetary shields. Still no reply. The human ships descended slowly, silently, without warning, like giants ignoring the cries of insects beneath them. Counselor Varine panicked. They are ignoring us. They mean to attack. Silas clenched his jaw. If they meant to attack, they would have already. Then why this fleet? Varine demanded. Why now? Silas could not answer. As the 7th, 8th, and 9th ships took their positions, shadows stretched across Aravel's continents. People lit lamps in the middle of the day. Birds scattered. Animals hid deep underground. A storm began forming, not from nature, but from the gravitational pull of the ships. Winds howled, clouds twisted, lightning cracked across a darkened sky. People screamed as they ran for shelter. Military pilots flew beside the human ships, trying to keep formation, but the pressure waves knocked them off course. Inside his cockpit, one pilot whispered, "These hips, they are bigger than our cities." Another answered, "And that's just the front half." In the High Council chamber, Elder Mira suddenly stood up, her eyes wide with realization. "I know why they are here." Everyone froze. Silas asked, "Tell us." She placed her hand on the ancient stone tablet showing the first human ship. These drawings were not just warnings, they were records. Records of when humans last walked this part of the galaxy. The counselors held their breath. Mira continued, "They came not to destroy worlds, but to stop something else." "What something?" Barine snapped. Mira whispered, "A threat so powerful that only humans dared to face it." Silas leaned forward. "And now that ship and all those ships, they are here for the same reason?" Mira nodded. "If humans have returned, then something terrible is following." The lead human ship moved again. Its engines glowed bright blue. Its hull vibrated with energy. Its shadow covered half a continent. The fleet aligned behind it in perfect formation. Every sensor on Aravel triggered new warnings. Loran looked at his screen and gasped. "Commander Silas, something else is coming." "Behind them." Silas turned sharply. "Another fleet?" "No, sir, something bigger." Mira whispered, "The storm isn't the humans. It's what the humans came to fight." The final alert sounded. Space twisted open, a dark shape emerged, and everyone on Aravel realized the humans were not the danger. They were the shield. The lead human battleship hovered lower, breaking through the upper clouds of Aravel. Its shadow spread across entire regions, over forests, oceans, and cities. The light dimmed, as if a second night had arrived. Buildings trembled from the ship's gravitational field. Oceans formed waves without wind. Wild animals fled underground. Even the sky seemed to grow colder. People stared upward in fear, unable to understand the scale of the vessel. It was too massive, too silent, too alien. Inside the Aravel government building, every council member watched the ship on a large hollow screen. Not one dared to speak. Then, every communicator on the planet suddenly activated. A voice echoed across the world, calm, steady, human. "This is Admiral Kira Holt of the Terran Defense Command. Do not be afraid. We are not your enemy." Shock rippled through Aravel. Humans were real. Humans were here, and they could speak Aravel's language perfectly. How do they know our speech?" One counselor whispered. "How did they access our global channels?" Another asked. Commander Silas clenched his fists. "They must have studied our systems long before arriving. But why? For what purpose?" Before anyone could ask more, the Admiral continued speaking. "Your world sent a signal 27 years ago, a message asking for help." The council looked at each other in confusion. "No such signal was ever approved," Counselor Varine said. Silas frowned. "I don't remember any emergency broadcast from that year." Elder Mira slowly lowered her gaze. "There was one thing." All eyes turned to her. Mira continued, 27 years ago, an Aravel research vessel named Vernus Dawn disappeared near uncharted space. Its last transmission was fragmented. Most believed it was an accident." Commander Silas nodded. "Yes. The official report said the ship malfunctioned." Mira shook her head. "No. That report was incomplete. The Vernus Dawn mentioned a strange structure and something pursuing them." A chill swept through the room. Was that the signal the humans found? On the screen, Admiral Holt's voice grew colder. The message warned of something the galaxy has forgotten, something that once burned stars and swallowed worlds. The room fell silent. People who once argued about invasion now felt something worse. Fee. R. A bright light shone from the human ship's underbelly. A projection appeared in the sky, visible to every person on Aravel. The hologram displayed a star map, marked with glowing red lines. The Admiral spoke again. For centuries, a sleeping threat drifted beyond charted space, a threat your ancestors recorded but never understood. Images replaced the map, twisted skeleton-like ships, black clouds devouring starlight, planets turning dark as if drained of life. Children screamed, adults covered their mouths. No one could look away. Commander Silas whispered, What are those things?" Mira's eyes filled with dread. The hollow ones, the Admiral continued, "We encountered them 80 years ago. We survived only because we destroyed our own ships to escape." Everyone shivered. To run from such a threat, humans destroyed their own fleet. "We learned they target worlds with weak defenses first. Like yours, the counselors felt their hearts drop." Across Aravel, citizens watched the projection in terror. What are those monsters? Why would they come here? Can even humans stop them? Parents hugged their children. Teachers tried to calm their students. Soldiers tightened their grips on useless weapons. For the first time in their peaceful history, Aravel felt truly helpless. The Admiral's voice softened slightly. "We are here because your lost ship sent a final warning before it fell silent." Mira whispered, "So, the crew of the Vernus Dawn tried to save us." Silas nodded slowly, and humans listened. The hologram shifted again, showing a dark region of space filled with swirling shadows. The Hollow One's fleet moved like ghosts in the void. Admiral Holt spoke firmly. "They are returning. They have awakened, and Aravel lies in their path." Fear spread like fire. Commander Silas asked aloud, though he knew she couldn't hear, "Why us? Why our world?" Elder Mira answered, "Because we are weak. We cannot defend ourselves. They always attack the weakest first." Counselor Vereen slammed her hands on the table. "Then what do the humans want? Our resources? Our land?" Silas shook his head. "No. They could take all of that without speaking. They wouldn't warn us," Mira added. "Humans do not warn prey. They warn allies." This idea shocked the room. Could humanity, these mythical, terrifying beings, actually be here to help? As the projection faded, the human fleet began shifting in the sky. The ships pulled into a defensive wall above the planet, like gigantic guardians forming a shield. Their engines glowed with intense blue flames. Their shadows swallowed the land below. Their weapons hummed with power beyond anything Aravel had ever seen. Counselor Vereen stepped back in fear. They're preparing for battle," Commander Silas answered quietly. "Yes, but not against us." A new hologram blinked. Officer Lauren shouted from the watchtower, "Commander Silas, we detect something else approaching." Silas rushed to the console. "More human ships?" Lauren shook his head, pale. "No, sir. Something dark. Something huge." Mira whispered the name again. "The Hollow Ones." The human admiral's voice returned one last time. "Aravel, listen carefully. You are in danger. But you are not alone. We will face the coming darkness. Stand by and trust us." The image faded. Silence filled the entire planet. For the first time in history, humanity, believed only to be a myth, had spoken to them, not as conquerors, not as enemies, but as saviors. Aravel looked to the sky. The human fleet glowed like burning stars, and far behind them, something darker was finally arriving. Aravel had always believed the galaxy was mostly peaceful. Their world was gentle, their people calm, and their history free from large-scale wars. But the MO meant. The human admiral finished her warning. Silence gripped the entire planet. The truth settled over them like a heavy shadow. Something older than every empire was coming. Something the humans feared. Something that once burned entire star systems to ashes. In the Hall of Guidance, the High Council stared at the hologram the humans left behind, an image of twisted, skeletal ships drifting through the void like a swarm of metal ghosts. Their shapes were sharp, unnatural, almost insect-like. Their hulls glowed with cold blue veins as if frozen lightning flowed inside them. Counselor Vareen's voice trembled. "What kind of monsters are these?" Elder Mira closed her eyes. In the old records they were called the Hollow Ones, A species that devoured the energy of stars and drained planets of all life. Commander Silas felt a chill creep up his spine. But those records are ancient, older than Aravel's founding. We thought they were myths. Mira whispered. We thought humans were myths too. A wave of fear washed over the council. The hologram flickered again, replaying the final moments of the Vernus dawn, Aravel's research vessel lost 27 years ago. The footage was shaky, damaged, but still horrifying. A small ship drifted through darkness. A massive shadow crept behind it. The crew screamed warnings. Energy readings spiked beyond measurable limits. Then the screen turned to static. The Hollow Ones had attacked them. Commander Silas stared at the frozen image of the huge skeletal creature ship. If humans barely survived, what chance do we have? No one answered. Another officer entered the hall, pale with fear. Counselors, citizens across the planet are panicking. Some are trying to flee. Others have sealed themselves in shelters. We must calm them, Vereen insisted. We must tell them we have defenses. Mira touched her arm gently. Do not lie, she said. Oh, defenses would break in seconds. Our shields would melt. Our weapons would spark and die. The officers lowered their heads. The truth was cruel. Aravel could not survive alone. Suddenly, the hall of guidance lights dimmed. Every holoscreen brightened. A new transmission began, sent directly from the human flagship. Admiral Kira Holt appeared again. Her face was grave, her eyes sharp. People of Aravel, the Hollow Ones have changed their course. They are now heading directly toward your system. Gasps erupted across the hall. Mira's voice shook. How long do we have? The Admiral didn't sugarcoat it. 30 hours. The room fell completely. Silent. 30 hours until destruction. 30 hours until the Hollow Ones arrived. 30 hours for a peaceful world to prepare for something it had never imagined. Commander Silas stepped forward and asked the only question that mattered. Admiral Holt, can you defeat them? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, the human admiral activated a second projection, this time showing live footage from human deep space scanners. The Hollow One's fleet was massive. Ships the size of moons, ships shaped like skeletons of dead creatures, ships that moved as if alive, but what made them terrifying was not their size. It was their silence. No communication, no signals, no warnings. They moved like a single hungry shadow, devouring everything behind them. Admiral Holt finally spoke. We fought them once before. We survived, but we did not win. A cold fear froze every heart in the hall. If humans, the strongest species in the galaxy, could not win, then how could anyone else? The Admiral continued. For 80 years, we have searched for signs of their return. Every sensor we built, every ship we sent beyond the frontier, everything was preparing for this moment. Silas felt the weight of her words. Humanity had not arrived by company. Incidents. They had been watching the galaxy, waiting, planning. The Vernus Dawn was the first ship to warn us of the Hollow One's awakening, Holt said. Their message reached us, and we promised ourselves that if the Hollow Ones ever returned, we would not let another species be destroyed. A quiet gasp spread through the room. The humans came because Aravel was in danger, not to invade, not to conquer, but to protect. From orbit, the Aravel people watched the human ships move into a massive formation above their world. The largest battleship positioned itself at the center, clearly the command vessel. Its hull began glowing with deep blue and white energy veins, like a sleeping giant waking up. Smaller escort ships spread out in perfect patterns, forming a protective grid. Drones swarmed like silver insects around the fleet, creating a shimmering barrier of metallic light. The sky flashed as the human ships prepared for battle. Commander Silas whispered, "Their ships look alive." Mira added quietly, "Perhaps they must be, to fight monsters like these." Counselor Vereen pointed shakily at the projection. "If the Hollow Ones reach us, even with humans here, will we survive?" Mira looked up, eyes filled with both fear and awe. "We survived this long without knowing the danger. Now the myths stand before us. The humans, they fight when no one else dares." Silas nodded slowly. "Humans came because they've already faced this nightmare, and they didn't run." The hall grew quiet. Then Silas added, "Maybe their presence is not a warning of doom, but a sign of hope." As the human fleet charged its weapons, the sensors in the watchtower lit up again. Officer Loran shouted, "Commander Silas, Multiple objects now entering long-range detection. They match Hollow One's profiles. Silas felt a cold heaviness in his chest. The Hollow Ones were coming, and this time, Hay would not stop. He took a deep breath and looked toward the sky. There, above their world, humanity stood ready. Legends made real. Warriors from a death world, and the only force powerful enough to stand between Aravel and extinction. The battle for Aravel was about to begin. The Hollow Ones were still far from the planet, but their presence already pressed against Aravel like a cold, invisible storm. Sensors flickered. Gravity trembled. Even the air seemed heavier. The people could feel danger approaching long before they could see it. But above them, hope waited in the sky. The human fleet, those massive dark warships, shifted into final formation, slowly, boldly, like giants moving into position for a battle they had fought before. Their hulls reflected the lightning-cluttered clouds. Their energy cores glowed brighter than suns. Their engines growled with a deep blue fury. The citizens of Aravel watched from windows, rooftops, and shelters, trembling not only with fear, but with awe. Commander Silas stood in the watchtower, staring upward. He had seen holograms of human technology and even legends passed down for centuries, but nothing prepared him for witnessing the fleet alive, awake, and ready for war. "Is this all of them?" he whispered. Officer Loran shook his head. "No, sir. More ships are still arriving." Silas blinked. More? He wasn't sure if that made him feel relieved or terrified. The largest ship, Admiral Holt's flagship, began to change. Its armor split into layers, each venting bursts of white-hot vapor. Weapon ports rotated outward. Its antenna arrays extended like metallic wings. The entire ship pulsed with synchronized energy. Elder Mira watched from the Hall of Guidance. "It looks alive." Silas nodded slowly. Human ships, they adapt, they evolve, just like the humans themselves. Lower ships, unfolded compartments, the size of building. G's drones launched in thousands, tiny silver dots at first, then sharp as arrows when they activated their thrusters. Other ships opened massive bays revealing huge humanoid machines, Terran combat mechs, each equipped with glowing blue visors and heavy weaponry. Every piece of human technology looked as wild and dangerous as the legends promised. Then the human admiral's voice echoed across Aravel and across every ship in orbit. Calm, cold, fearless. "This is Admiral Kira Holt of the Terran Defense Command." Silas straightened. "The Hollow Ones approach. They will attempt to drain your world. They will not succeed." The room fell silent. "We are the Deathworlders." A shiver passed across the planet. "We do not run. We do not hide. We fight so others may live." All of Aravel felt those words. For the first time, many believed they might actually survive. A deep distortion rippled across the stars. Then another and another. A tear in space opened, and out of that darkness crawled the first Hollow One's warship, a massive structure of bone-like metal twisted into unnatural shapes. It moved without engines. It glided, silent and smooth. Green-blue veins of stolen energy pulsed beneath its surface. Then the second ship emerged, then the third, then dozens. Every sensor on Aravel screamed. Officer Loran whispered, "Sir, the Hollow One's fleet is enormous, bigger than anything we've seen." Silas felt ice fill his chest, but the human admiral spoke again. "Terran fleet, engagement protocol Athena." The human warships shifted into a perfect attack arc. Their formation moved with synchronized precision, something no other species could achieve. The Hollow Ones fired first. Beams of pure energy shot from their hulls, white-hot, silent and terrifying. The beams crossed space instantly, hitting the human formation. All of Aravel gasped, but the human shields held. The blue barriers rippled once, twice, then returned to calm. Not a single human ship was damaged. Commander Silas stared. "Their weapons do nothing?" Mira whispered. "Humans built their ships after studying these monsters. Their shields were designed for this exact attack." The Hollow Ones fired again. The shields held again. No fear, no weakness, no retreat. Then the humans answered. The flagship unleashed its first volley. A beam of blue-white light erupted from its front cannon, slicing through the void like a blade of pure lightning. It cut directly through one of the hollow warships. The massive creature ship froze, glowed, and then exploded into silent fragments. Another human battleship fired a barrage of Star Lance missiles. They accelerated faster than light, piercing two more hollow vessels. The smaller Terran ships accelerated forward, their drone clouds swarming like angry bees. Each drone released bursts of plasma that burned holes directly through hollow armor. Aravel's skies lit up in silent explosions, bright white flashes that replaced the darkness with temporary daylight. Children watching from shelters whispered, "Mom, they're winning." Parents whispered back, "Yes, they might be." The hollow ones pushed forward with more ships. Their weapons grew brighter, more focused, more desperate. But the human fleet responded with overwhelming force. Terran mechs launched from bays and engaged at close range, firing beams from hand-mounted cannons. Drone swarms zigzagged through the battlefield like lightning, tearing apart the enemy from inside. Human battleships unleashed wave after wave of high-energy lances, shredding hollow armor like brittle glass. It looked like a storm of blue fire and white light, a storm controlled by humans. The Aravel people whispered in awe, "These are no ordinary warriors. They fight like they have done this before. They fight like the myths said," and the myths were true. Humanity was unstoppable. On the surface, people gathered in streets, shelters, and towers, every eye locked on the sky. The fighting above painted the clouds with flashes of blue and white. The hollow one's destruction fell like quiet stardust. Commander Silas, voice trembling with something between fear and respect, said, "Humans aren't just protecting us." Mira finished for him. "They are protecting the galaxy." One by one, hollow ships vanished under human fire. Each explosion brought cheering across Aravel. For the first time since the legend began, they understood. The humans were not monsters. They were the shield, the wall between darkness and life. And when the final hollow ship began to retreat, the Admiral's voice returned. "Not yet, Terran fleet. Advance." She would not let these creatures escape, because if they escaped, they would return stronger. The battle was not over. It was only beginning. The battlefield above Aravel had finally grown calm. The smoke of destroyed hollow ships faded into drifting silver dust. The bright flashes of Terran weapons dimmed, and for the first time in hours, the sky returned its normal soft blue. The hollow ones were gone. The nightmare that had once swallowed entire star systems had been stopped, right above a peaceful world that could never have defended itself. Aravel was safe. Inside shelters and homes, people cried with relief. Families hugged, friends held hands. Teachers comforted children. Even the soldiers, exhausted and shaken, finally let their shoulders relax. Commander Silas stood in the orbital watchtower, staring at the scattered remains of the battle. And though he had commanded battles before, nothing he had ever seen compared to this humanity's fleet, dark, massive, and glowing with the last traces of battle, hovered in calm formation. Like guardians watching over a world they vowed to protect, Silas whispered almost to himself, "Humans, our legends no more." A soft ping echoed across every communication system. A new message came through. "Put it on the main screen," Silas ordered. Admiral Kira Holt appeared, her expression steady and calm. Though her ship had fought for hours, she looked untouched, like a warrior made of steel. "People of Aravel," Holt began, "the threat has been neutralized. You are safe now." Her voice carried strength, but also warmth. In the Hall of Guidance, the Council listened with awe. Counselor Vereen, who once feared invasion, now looked at the Admiral with respect. Holt continued, "We protected your world because once, long ago, someone protected ours." The room fell silent. Her words felt heavy, like an old truth finally being spoken. Eldermira bowed her head. "Humanity, we believed you were only legends." Holt smiled softly. "Most legends begin with truths people fear to face." The people of Aravel lowered their heads in gratitude. Humanity had fought for them. Humanity had risked everything. Humanity had saved them when no one else even believed their danger. Outside, across inns and cities, people walked out of their shelters, shielding their eyes from the sunlight. They watched the Terran ships hovering above, silent, powerful, patient. Children pointed at the sky in wonder. That one saved us. No, the big one did. Mama, the humans are heroes. Parents smiled through tears. In one city, a small group of workers stood on a rooftop and saluted the fleet in their sky. They had never saluted anything in their lives, but this was different. These ships had fought for them. These humans had stood between Aravel and extinction. They deserved a salute. In the High Council chamber, the hologram of Admiral Holt gave one last message. We have scanned the region. No further hollow ships are approaching, but they may return in the future. When that day comes, we will be ready. Her confidence was not arrogance. It was certainty, a certainty born from surviving a death world. Silas stepped forward. Admiral Holt, if one day Aravel can help humanity, we will. Holt nodded politely, her voice lowered. Remember, Commander, humanity does not fight for glory. We fight because someone must. And with that, the transmission ended. The engines of the Terran battleships ignited with blue-white light. One by one, they rose higher into the sky. Their shadows shrank. Their hulls glowed like quiet stars beginning a long journey. The citizens of Aravel gathered outside their homes watching. The Terran fleet moved into formation, silent, perfect, beautiful. Then, with a single flash of light, the ships shot into hyperspace and vanished. The sky brightened again, and Aravel stood alone, but safe. For hours after, the people talked about what they had seen. Some spoke of the giant mechs, some spoke of the Star Lance weapons, some spoke of the drones that moved like silver birds, but most spoke of the humans themselves. How they arrived without Arning, how they protected a world they had never visited, how they fought with courage no one had ever witnessed. In the Hall of Guidance, Elder Mira stood before the council. Generations before us, she said, told stories of humans that sounded impossible. We thought they were myths. We laughed at them. We said no species so strong could ever exist. She looked up at the empty sky where the human ships had vanished. We were wrong. News of the battle traveled quickly. Other worlds began to whisper. The humans returned. The myths are real. They fought the hollow ones and won. Messages spread through traders, diplomats, explorers, and every communication channel. Stories changed. No longer were humans called monsters. No longer were they feared as destroyers. Now they were spoken of as protectors, warriors, guardians of weak worlds, the species that stood between darkness and life, and a simple truth began to echo from world to world. Do not fear the legends of humanity. Fear what happens if they do not arrive in time. Weeks later, life on Aravel returned to normal. Farms reopened, schools restarted, markets bustled again, but something had changed forever. Children now drew pictures of Terran battleships. Teachers told stories of bravery, families spoke about courage and unity, and the myth of humans became a source of hope, not fear. Commander Silas often stood at the watchtower window at night, staring into the sky. Somewhere out there, he knew, the humans were still fighting, still protecting, still watching over the galaxy. They were legends, he whispered. Now they are our saviors. And so the legend of humanity lived on, stronger than ever, not a story of monsters, but a story of a species that refused to let darkness consume the galaxy.